Welcome to the Drive-By Entrepreneur podcast, which exists to bring current and compelling content to entrepreneurs and influencers of small to mid-sized organizations. I'm John Frank, fellow entrepreneur and the owner of Third Road Management. And with this podcast, we will connect with a variety of experienced and dynamic individuals to shed some light on both the art and science of entrepreneurship. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsors. First, my very own Third Road Management, a company that brings fractional CFO services to small and mid-sized organizations by revolutionizing the CFO suite. We'd also like to thank Two Hound Red, a brewery and restaurant located in Glen Ellen, Illinois, that is focused on creating classic, innovative beer and food. And finally, we'd like to thank NWC Media, which provides inbound marketing technology, project workflow management, and efficiency consulting to organizations of varied sizes, who is also the producer of the Drive-By Entrepreneur podcast. All right, here we go. Josh Storm, welcome. Amy Storm.
Thank you.
Welcome. This is really, really exciting. Very honored to have you guys here.
We're happy to be here.
Glad to be here.
It's going to be fun. Our first husband and wife, guests on the podcast. So that's going to be kind of a little bit of a theme for what I wanted to dig into a little bit here, in addition to some other stuff. But looking forward to it. So I always like to start off explaining why are we doing this. The mission statement is to bring current and compelling content to entrepreneurs and influencers of small to mid-sized organizations. So most of the people that have been on here and will be on here are people like yourselves that are entrepreneurs, but also people that sort of like interact with, those types of people. So they might be a banker or somebody in insurance or an attorney or M&A advisor or just anybody that has any nuggets of wisdom to share with people like you and people like me that are entrepreneurs themselves, but also every day striving to get a little bit better. So,
Okay.
Do you feel like an entrepreneur?
I don't know. I feel like I work for somebody, but
Never thought I'd be in this position.
the accidental entrepreneur. Yeah. How did it, where are we?
Whole podcast in itself.
Yeah. What is my name again?
right.
All right. So whether or not you like it, you are both entrepreneurs,
Yes.
accidental or not. But we're going to get into you guys collaborating together, but you also both uniquely have your own entrepreneurial ventures.
Yes.
So whichever one of you wants to go first, tell me a little bit about your journey in terms of your background and how you sort of came up working, and then lead that into what you're doing today. So you guys can rock,
Maybe I
paper,
should
scissors.
go first, because the entry of Josh into the business can tee you up for his part.
There you go.
Okay. Well, my name's Amy Storm, and I'm the owner of Amy Storm and Company, and we are a luxury residential interior design firm. Is the basis of it. We are primarily new construction. We've done some commercial and a lot of remodels over the year, although that just doesn't really fit too much into our scope of work these days. But so how did we get started? So the first 10 years out of school, I worked for a restaurant design firm. It was all architects and me. I really begged my way into that job, and I grew tremendously in that amount of time. And then all of a sudden we found ourselves with a family starting, and I just really was struggling to do this commute all the time and be away from our firstborn, and kind of out of thin air quit. And I had no game plan. I kind of just thought, I'll stay home and raise the kids and I'll figure it out down the road. And so my first day off, I took my daughter to a park and my phone rang, and it was a lady who was friends with a realtor who had shown our condo in the city and liked it and passed her name along. And she called me frantic and was like, I'm building a house. I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. And so I said, okay, I can come tomorrow. I don't know what I was doing. And so I would say I took one day off and then I started my own company. So that was in 2004. And
It's a day's pay, John.
I did. I missed a day, yeah. So from 2004 until about 2013, I really was just kind of on my own. And I feel like in a lot of ways I sort of regressed because I didn't have a name for myself. I was busy raising my kids, but I was running around picking out people's paint colors. And I kind of laugh about that now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was running all over town. But I was really just trying to do anything to stay current. I would do remodel a powder room, remodel a kitchen, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually I got a couple new construction projects, which was really good, helped me kind of get my name out around town, but I was still on my own, doing everything on my own. Eventually hired some people to help with some design work and with some ordering. So, I never really set out to have a business of my own, much less hire anybody and have staff. I was not trained up in how to do that well. So from 2013 to 2016, all of a sudden we had 7 people sitting in our house working out of our master bedroom. We had folding tables. I remember we brought on a new girl on staff and she walked into our master bedroom and saw a folding table under our television next to our bed and was like, is this a legit job? Like, I just quit my job for this? Like,
Disclose that in advance. Like,
I guess didn't think that was important information.
hey, by the way, you can do that, but also this laundry, I'm going to be back in
If you don't
15.
mind.
Can you just swap it out real quick?
So crazy when I think about now. All that to say, everybody was part-time. Everybody was like growing their kids, raising their families, all that kind of stuff. And so it was a very like loosey-goosey.
You didn't have the work to
I didn't have, yes, exactly.
Right.
All of a sudden,
scenario.
yes. So all of a sudden it's 2016. Josh has been at his company for 17 years.
Yep.
He was a creative director and he kind of knew like his days were maybe numbered there and he just wasn't feeling fulfilled anymore because he wasn't really getting to do a lot of design work. And I remember going to him and being like, I think I'm bringing enough money in that we won't die if you quit. Like, we'll have enough food. We won't starve.
Death is slow.
It was extreme, but I was like, we won't starve. We won't lose our house. We probably won't have anything new or do anything fun or go on any trips, but like we'll survive. And that and some other things allowed him to be able to step away from that job. And then he came on to help me with my company. And really, I mean, at the time, I was still kind of doing everything. But he came on and he was like, okay, let's get you onto social media. Let's get you a logo. Let's do all these things that I just never had time to do and I didn't know how to do. So once Josh came on, I feel like that gave me a lot of the freedom to grow. And he was awesome. He suddenly was, I mean, really, like Josh deserves a lot of credit. Really, no, I'm serious because
Is that why we're here today?
yeah, really, this is like a feel-good moment for Josh. No, he started being on the text strands with all of my girlfriends for play dates after school, and we moved out of our house and into an office, which we're still in. But it got to the point where I was like, well, I'm charging, at the time I was hourly. I'm charging by the hour, so if somebody has to go pick up the kids, it's probably the guy that's unbillable, not me. And so for quite a few years, I would say 3 or 4 years, we kind of lived that way where he was doing all that after school care and taking them to doctor's appointments. And I was just like hammering away. So
Let's be clear. I mean, I cherished the time with the ladies at the parks.
Yes.
oh, yes, I'm sure you loved that. Anyway, so then fast forward again, we still had a lot of part-time people and things like that in like the 2018-19 zone. And really, like, that's when we met you and realized, like, wait a minute, we have way too much demand and we have way too many part-time people and we are not making money well. And I mean, Third Road really, like, you guys came in and transformed our vision of what was happening behind the scenes because I just knew how to do design. I didn't know how to run the business well. And I think really between you and Josh really kind of cracking the whip on a few things, we said, okay, we need full-time staff. Here's where we're going. You know, I remember you saying like, okay, I reviewed everything. There's 10 things that you guys really need to fix, but we're going to focus on the first 3. And I was like, ah!
Thanks for the plug, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're welcome.
Check is in the mail.
You didn't ask me to do that, but it really, like, from the bottom of our hearts, like, you have really helped us transform our business. And it was kind of an answer to a later question, but one of the things that I think that we have done well over the years is we realized that we need to hire people to help us do the things that they're better at, because I'm great at designing and working with people and leading projects, but I hate billing. I hate entering my time. If I could do this for free, I would do it for free. Because I love it so much. But
As your advisor, I would suggest you don't do that.
yes, but we need to make money. We got to send our kids to college, and oh, by the way, our staff wants to get paid as well. So, anyway, Josh came on, started helping me, and then started his own business. So I let you take it away now.
So you were doing agency marketing work, right? For 17 years, it sounded like.
Yep. I was in promotional marketing agency in the city. And really, that was my second job out of college, and stuck with it for a long time. And it was great. Learned a lot from a lot of great, smart people. And I really attribute, anything that I know today from that time being spent there. And, in a lot of people experience this in agency life, where there just becomes this point where, not that you've come to the end of the road, but there's just a logical separation time where it's time to move on and do different things. And it was just serendipitous that Amy's business was growing at a pace that she needed help, in a way that I could afford.
Yep.
And so I don't know if this is in sequence here, but I just want to reverse a little bit back to her story.
Somewhere.
No, just from decision making. That's one of the things that she kind of does very quickly, and I do very slowly.
That's true.
And so I just wanted to point out that when she decided that she was going to quit her original design job, we had talked about, oh yeah, we'll look at that, in the future.
She was like, "Oh no, I already did."
Yeah, I kind of had a breakdown in the car on the way to work, like the next day, and I just did it. And he was like,
Of course, I was like, okay. It's something that needs to be communicated for the remainder of our session here.
Yeah.
I'm more of an emotional decision maker, and he's more of a methodical decision maker. So when you put us together, usually we can get to a good point that makes sense. But as long as I don't pull the trigger before he gets there.
There you
go. And so back to my agency life.
Yep.
I worked with a guy who is now my partner in my current company, and he and I just had a great working relationship and knew how to work with each other really well, and always had kind of similar thinking and approach to different things. And
wait, ironically, this is so weird. Before they both left that and started their own business, we went out for dinner with them one night, and my business was growing, and we're sitting at dinner, and they were like, so what's it going to be like when you have 10 people working under you? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, I just, no idea. I feel like there's been people in our life who have always like presented the concept of our business is going to grow, and people are going to want to work with us and stuff like that. And I just feel like I've always been sort of short-sighted of that. Maybe because it wasn't my idea to start this. It just kind of happened, but maybe also too because I just always have my head down. I'm just working. And it's rare that I maybe stop and smell the roses and kind of take notice of everything. So, but It's just interesting that they said that, and we thought it was hilarious, and here we are.
And coincidentally, or ironically,
Doesn't matter. We can ask Alanis
One of those is
Morissette
right.
later.
both of our fathers are entrepreneurs themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's in our blood. However, like Amy, neither one of us felt compelled to go out and start a business and grow it. And I think both of us were just kind of like letting things happen and uh, just kind of,
It's definitely more organic.
Yeah, but the common thread in both of those stories was that you both reached a point where you were like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and there's like,
Yeah.
there's something about entrepreneurs, that restlessness of like routine, you know, go in, take the train, punch the card,
Yes.
you know, rinse, repeat, do it the
Yeah.
next day. That like there's just a restlessness, I think, with people that pursue entrepreneurial interests that I think is what I heard
Yeah.
you guys kind of saying. But
Yeah, that's
but you at the time knew what Amy was doing, knew that you could complement, you knew that she needed the help, and
Yeah.
you know, sometimes you're just like, okay, well, this is the next step, right? And I know, so you did that, and then Neocurrency with Jeff. So how did that come about? Did he call you and say, I got this idea, or like how did?
It's funny because the seed was planted years beforehand by Amy.
This is a big twisted circle.
I think it was, I don't know, every time anytime we had a office party and spouses were invited, Amy would tell Jeff, when are you guys going to start a business together? And we kind of laughed it off and, just kind of assumed that would never happen. And we got to this point in this juncture, and it just, we both left the agency at the exact same time. And again, it was just kind of serendipitous that like, the likelihood of us both leaving at the exact same time. I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah.
And he had been kind of ideating on different companies, company ideas to share with me. And sure enough, maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks after we left the agency, he sent me this PowerPoint with 20 different ideas for companies.
Not one.
Not one.
Not one.
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
And we landed on Neocurrency, and based off of, what we've experienced in the agency world, the kind of work that we did, and some pain points that we experienced there, where we felt like, oh, we can maybe
Do that better.
do it
So
better.
Yeah, and so you've been doing Neocurrency for how long?
7 years.
7 years. Okay. And for somebody just the 1 minute explanation or whatever, what is Neocurrency?
So Neocurrency sells digital rewards. We are a wholesale supplier for companies and agencies that want to buy rewards in bulk to either run a loyalty program or incentivize shoppers in some way, or say employee appreciation model that needs their employees to be incentivized. There's so many different areas where rewards can be integrated into any kind of program. And so the value that we bring is that we're a one-stop shop. You don't have to go to all these different places to say, hey, can we partner with you to distribute your rewards for this program? You can come to Neocurrency, and we've got 1,800 brands that are immediately available for your use.
Very good.
So
Love it.
kind of short circuit that pathway.
Very good. I love it. Like the Costco of digital rewards.
Yeah,
Come in, we got it all.
that's right.
You know, you're laughing at Jeff showing up with 20 ideas, but Josh, since like the history of time, has been like a mad inventor. He's always coming up with these like crazy things, and he's like, "Ooh, look at this thing. We could sell this." And then he'll like go to Hobby Lobby and get supplies, and he'll mock it up, and he'll do all that. He'll show it to friends and stuff, and then it just stops. It stops. And then, like 2 years later, we see it on a shelf somewhere. Like, I mean, I can't, he had these animal chopsticks. Now they're all over at the museums. Just all kinds of great ideas. He's always thinking. And the one he's doing now with his business is really great. But you're never short of coming up with little inventions.
I got ideas, John.
You got ideas? Let's go.
Idea, man.
Let's go. I must take an opportunity to tell one story that my wife, if she ever watches this, will crack up at, because I had a moment when I think when our youngest, or sorry, when our oldest was a baby, where you know how the baby's socks are constantly falling off of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, how has nobody come up with a sock that has like a little Velcro strap on it?
When you Velcro to their knee?
Like just like around, like around the, and I went to Hobby Lobby and I got, some Velcro strips or whatever, and I mocked up a little thing. And so I'm like, see,
Yeah.
it'll work, whatever. And she's like, oh, yeah, whatever. And now somebody will take that idea and make millions of dollars if they were.
To the straps that guys used to wear for boxers and keep their socks up.
Well, whatever. Anyway,
You could put them on suspenders. That would like really hold them up.
I just got tired of their feet being cold and then kicking their socks off.
Baby socks all over the world. Yeah.
And you could use that product, by the way.
Yeah.
I know my socks are always falling down in my shoes. It's the worst.
Well, there you go. We can have an adult.
Yeah, we'll powwow after this.
All right. So thematically, one of the things I wanted to hit on was that a lot of people would say, don't mix business with pleasure or family. I see it all over the place, complications that arise from spouses, but also, sons, daughters, aunts, uncles, cousins. But you guys have found a way to make this work, right? And I'm curious if there are any specific, rhythms, boundaries, guardrails, like we don't talk about work after 6 p.m. Or is it something else that you've put in your life where you're like, look, we need to exercise independently or something like that, right? Like, are there rhythms that you guys have agreed to or come up with that have helped at all with sort of that?
Wow, the short answer is no. I mean, we do sit back to back, which I think helps because we literally sometimes, he has his job and I have mine. And unless he's showing me something or I need help with something, we will go through the whole day sometimes without even talking, which is kind of crazy. Like he might bring me my lunch or I'll bring him his, and that might be the most conversation because actually our kids would be like, we get home at night and be like, "How was your day?" And they're like, "Why are you talking about work? You've been next to each other all day long." I'm like, we didn't even talk." I have learned that it's better for me not to ask Josh work questions in the morning when he's getting ready because it's just not time yet to talk work stuff. And I wake up and my brain is like on fire. Yep. And his is not. And like, I mean,
it's working. It's just not.
It's working. It's just, yeah.
Not all the pistons firing quite yet.
Firing at 3:00 in the morning. So, but we are probably pretty bad about boundaries about when we talk about work. It kind of just happens all the time.
You're probably looking for a silver bullet answer for this, but
I mean,
I would say
I think that there's probably good things associated with that too, right? Like, I don't know, like people like my wife has a full-time job too and whatever. And I think it's inevitable that either one of us thinks that the other one is like, screwing around or something like that. They're not working as hard, which is ridiculous, right? But you guys see one another all the time hustling. You know what I mean? Like, I think that probably is a very good thing that you guys know how hard one another is working, and that you therefore, kind of have that mutual respect of being like, hey, I know you had a day, I know you probably need to just chill out and I don't know.
Well, I don't know how to do your job, and you don't know how to do my job. Like, our jobs are very different because he's not doing design work. He is, but it's social media, marketing, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I'm doing the design work, and I don't run that by him. Like he's not involved in that.
She should.
Maybe I should. And he really takes it. He'll take it to like 99% before he shows it to me. And he knows me so well that a lot of times I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. Or can you just change that picture of me? I don't like that picture of me. That's like our biggest argument, probably.
I would say that you kind of you hit a kind of a sweet spot is if you think about normal couples who are maybe both working at night, they're probably talking about things that happen during their day
Yeah.
with work. And, maybe when somebody's disgruntled by some decision that was made that's going to affect this thing at work and what.
Yeah, we don't ever do that, really.
Well, we don't do that, but we talk about work, but it's not because we're not talking about so much of it during the day. It
Yeah.
feels more normal to us than
Yeah.
if we were to constantly talking about work all day long and all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be hard.
To explain different circumstances that happen during the day because we're both there.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like you're in a totally twisted way.
Yeah.
It's almost good in a way that you're both sort of like very busy during the day. So you're not really,
Yeah.
like interacting all that much, but at the same point in time, you have that like awareness factor of like what's going on sort of in the periphery. So like you're not recapping over dinner of like
That's
whatever.
probably some of the magic is, when other folks who don't have this situation are emotionally distraught or, bothered by something, may not be forthcoming with what is actually bothering them.
Yeah.
And so the tension in a marriage could come from not knowing what is going on in their head.
Yeah.
And so you're right, we have visibility into
You know what's going on here the whole time, all the time.
that. But we are, like you're saying, you are aware of
Yeah.
what's happening during the day.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Josh also, because he does two jobs, sometimes he's like squatting in the office, but he's working on Neocurrency. And so he's not even working on our stuff. Sometimes you are. I mean, you kind of like dabble back and forth all day long, but so he's got this whole other world that he lives in that I know nothing about too. We just happen to sit next to each other. So
Co-working space.
Co-working, yes.
Yeah. There you go. So obviously, based upon what you're saying, every couple should go into business together. Is that a good? Is that is that a good idea or a bad idea?
Everybody should go into business with Josh. He's like the most patient, level-headed person ever, and so he like helps me. One of the things that was like because I am like emotionally driven.
Yep.
And I'll just say like about I tapped on this earlier. I do what I do because I love to do it. I'm a chronic underbiller, although I'm working on that every day of my life and trying to be like smarter about that. But I always, in a weird way, had this like sense of feeling bad about having people pay us for what we do. I'm over it now. I'm over that. But so all that to say, sometimes I would have to send notes to a couple, about billing or things have gone over or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'd construct these big, big, long emotional letters with all the reasons why it's fair and stuff like that. And Jess would be like, no. Condense it down to like 5 words that basically says like, you need to send more money.
Sorry about the bill.
Sorry about it is what it is, dude. Yeah. So
let's catch up sometime.
But yeah. But having that male brain in a female dominated world. I mean, everybody in our office is that we have 2 men and like 12 women, and it's nice to have like that other brain come in and be like objective in how you communicate and stuff like that. And I've learned a lot from him about that. Now I don't run all those letters by him anymore. I stop and reread them and make sure they're just a couple words, and then I send them if I need to, but it doesn't happen so much.
I mean, I think I obviously know you guys, but what I heard and what I've experienced and what I've seen too is a good compliment. Like you just said, he's a good compliment to you, but you also just said he'd be a good compliment to anybody, right? And I mean, I just recently experienced this with, we hired a president at Third Road too, because number one, it's really great to have another person sort of in the trenches with you. But if that person has a different perspective, a different view, whatever. So I guess what I'm getting at is whether it's a husband or wife or whatever, I think the value that you've intrinsically talked about here is having someone with a complementary skill set.
Yeah.
Um, that's sort of at your side.
True. Like it won't work if I am wired like Amy.
Right.
It would not work.
You guys are.
Oh, that would be
disaster town.
crazy.
Yes.
That would be disaster town. Yeah.
Yes. And in the same way that you're a good compliment to Jeff, I'm sure in that way as well.
Yeah, I just shared that with Amy last week that I've got my wife who operates not exactly, but very closely aligned with how Jeff operates, my business partner.
How did I end up with 2 of you in my life?
Oh, that's great. Well, okay. So go into business with your spouse if you guys complement one another. If you don't complement one another,
You should think it.
probably not the best idea.
Yep.
All right.
And I
good.
think there's a level of submission for both of us
Yeah.
Yeah.
that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Acknowledge what you're good at, or acknowledge what they're good at,
Yep.
and let them do the thing that they're good at.
Totally. 100%. All right. So, Amy, let's focus on your business for a second. I don't remember what the exact stats are because whatever they are, they're probably older than I remember, and I probably could have Googled this, but I didn't. You had this little business that started in your house or started on the playground, then your house. Nowadays, over 100,000 like Instagram followers or 200,000. I don't even know how. 130,000. Sought after for the amazing work you and your team, work, across the country, featured in magazines, all that kind of stuff. If you could say, looking back over the course of time, and I know you said you were sort of an accidental entrepreneur. You didn't expect, this wasn't your vision ultimately for it. But like, if you feel like you could look back and say there might be 3 key decisions that you made that really helped propel that. And then the flip side after that is, why don't we say, like, if you could look back and say like, that's a mistake I made that I wouldn't want another entrepreneur to make in the future. So maybe it doesn't have to be 3. I mean, but what are some key pivotal good decisions and things that you've learned from?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think the first one, which I tapped into earlier, was hiring outside help to help us do things better. So one of the major things that transformed the business was going from part-time employees to full-time employees. It obviously worked with our time in life. Like our kids were now going to school all day. We could have regular hours. That doesn't work if you have little toddlers at home. So, but that's part of the reason why it took from 2004 to 2016, 17, 18 to do that. So getting everybody to full-time was one of them. And then the next, I think, big thing that I was able to do was to have some really great employees that had been around for a while that I felt like I could trust to help run things more. So taking some of that day-to-day correspondence and communication and stuff off my shoulders. I'm still very involved in every project, but I really trust my design team to do that. And then probably the next big thing is stepping into higher rates and different types of billing. I would say I've probably tried every different type of billing there has existed in the face of the earth since I started the business. Uh, I we had some business coaches just really like speak into us and tell us kind of what our value and our worth was. They work with designers all over the country, and they were like, these people do not do what you do for their clients. Like, we don't see this happening with anybody. And they spoke some truth to us about the store, which you had kind of said, like, why do you have this store? For a while, we had a store. It was great to get our name out in the community because not everybody knew who we were when we first started, but it was not a passion of ours. It took up a lot of extra time, and it wasn't a big money maker. And they were able to say, like, a lot of people have a store or do all these other things because they're not busy, but you're busy. Like, you don't need to do that. So like, focus your energy on the things that you do the best, and you're going to be happier and you're going to make more money. And so we shut that down. Um,
And I would say that was when you're talking about working together with your spouse, that season was probably
hard.
the hardest season we've experienced.
Yeah.
Is trying to make this thing work that neither one of us were really passionate about.
Yeah.
And we both had kind of different thoughts on how it should
Yeah.
be run and grow, and neither one of us really had time to like devote to it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm glad we
was all
we
good.
did it.
I mean, I was there in these conversations with you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's just like,
It wasn't for us though. It just wasn't for us. And whenever people are like, "Do you miss the store?" We're like, "Oh, no, not at all." But what it allowed us to do was get our name out there, and then we didn't need it anymore because now I feel like we could go work almost in Timbuktu and it wouldn't matter because we have jobs all over the country. It's not so centrally located. People aren't walking from their home over to our office to talk about a bathroom remodel. We're talking about, a big square footage new construction home in Montana or in Maryland or in Nebraska, like wherever. Um, so it was good for the time, but it's just not needed now. So, but stepping into that, what I was getting to was stepping into that higher billing and understanding our worth and our value and what we bring to the project opened the door to bigger and better projects. And so what that's done is let our portfolio grow, and that has enticed bigger projects to come and work with us, where I think if I had been too timid or scared to go there, we would have just kept staying like swimming in the same pond we were in.
yeah,
So that was scary because it meant some people weren't going to sign the proposals,
right.
right? But and I think we're probably in that season again right now, and it's a little bit mentally disturbing sometimes, but we've always been busy. We've never had a slow season from the day I started, and so we're just believing if we keep stepping into it, it's just going to keep growing.
I would say as was kind of an important piece of counsel that you got. I don't know about early on, but the idea that, especially as an entrepreneur, you are trying to make anything and everything happen. Whatever comes your way, you want to like
Take it.
take it because you don't know when the next thing is coming. And you had to get to a point where it's okay to not take this project because you don't need it, or it's not going to fit with your current model, or
I asked a contractor once, why didn't I get that job? And he was like, you can't have all the jobs, Amy. And I was like, but I want all the jobs. And he was like, but they didn't want to pay your fees. And I was like, okay, so then maybe I don't want that job. Maybe that wasn't the right job for us.
Whereas the former you would have been like, but I would have done it for free.
I would have done it for free. I would have cut my fees in half.
exactly.
When you're growing the business, and I think that's okay. Like there's a moment in time when I am very passionate about what we do, even though I didn't set out with this goal. But I would have done everything and have done everything. The crazy things that I have done for people to get a job, keep a job, not make them mad, stuff like that. it has all played into the expertise that we bring to projects. And so those things are worthwhile. And I guess I would say, like, if somebody was starting new, to start new in your business and think, I'm immediately going to go out and get this kind of job and have all these people under me. Like, if you can pull that off, that's great. That's amazing. But there's something to say about experience that you get from getting dirty and maybe getting burned a few times or doing things wrong and learning the hard way that tee you up for a lot more success down the road when you get those bigger and better projects. And man, I mean, in 20 something years, I've done it all.
And what happens, and you can kind of answer this better than I can, but what happens when she has, this library of experience and watchouts and pitfalls and successes, she can speak to those and when she's with a builder or when she's with a client and
Or with our staff.
or with the staff, sure.
Because this is going to happen. I know, because I did it.
Yep.
But it starts to build this incredible amount of trust, just kind of inherently with whoever she's working with,
And confidence in yourself. And just even your body language when you're speaking is sending a message as well. Like, oh no, I've been there, I've done that.
Yeah,
You know,
do that.
and you have credibility because you have been there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I wrote down a number of things, just learning the hard way, right? A lot of people say, fail quickly, you know. But there's just part of a muscle building thing that every entrepreneur, like, you just got to keep getting back up and get at it. Everything is not going to go perfect, but learning the hard way.
Yeah, even with Neocurrency, we experience something that happens almost every day that we didn't account for or didn't expect, or we're dealing with technology, a lot of digital components that go into making this platform that we've developed, and depending on who's trying to integrate with us, they've got a whole other language or system or model that they're trying to integrate with us, and there's always issues with technology, so we're always facing new challenges.
So learning the hard way. I heard you talk about client service. Just, we're a professional services firm too. Like, you don't have a choice. Like, you white glove service. I always tell people we're waiters with the the white towel. You know what I mean? You got to do whatever.
2 years ago, we had a client ask us to empty out their closets for them because they were on vacation and they needed a remodel. And I was like, now, I'm not telling you this because I want to do this for anybody, but I'm just saying, like, it's a great client and I would have done anything for them to make them happy. And I think that is part of you. You're either going to do that in your own business or you're not.
Yep.
And they'll probably call me back because of the way that we treated them and handled them. So, sometimes you do crazy things that you're like, what? But then I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go do this.
Yeah.
It's this truth has never changed in the history of time. Client service, customer service is the magic. It's the secret sauce.
Yes. 100.
If you fail at that, then you will not, your business will fall flat.
Yes. The customer is always right.
Well, sometimes.
I said get increasingly clear on who you are and be willing to say no. To some things. Very important. Know your worth. I wrote down. It's hard for people, I think. You know what I mean? Because everybody has that element of sort of doubt that creeps in. And then just seeking outside help. Like, how do you round out your skill sets with others? But I think those are all.
Yeah, we're both mostly creative minded, and so if you can imagine, the creative types are probably really bad at certain things.
Is there I'm curious, like, in your mind, is there I feel like I've talked about this on this podcast before, but like, I found this interesting niche for myself that I didn't know was there, but like it actually started out when I left Wall Street, where I was like the teddy bear of Wall Street. Like I was just like the nice guy, right? And then I went in the environment with the church.
Just a,
Yeah,
just a-
still okay. Uh, you know, at the church, they were all creatives,
Uh-huh.
and I was like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
Like it was like I had to check myself at some point in time and be like, okay, what's wrong with me? Am I a horrible person? You know, like whatever. But what I learned in that process is just numbers people and creative people
Yeah.
don't necessarily talk the same
Yeah.
language. And actually that was
Oh, yeah.
part of our story
Yeah.
when we first started working together was being able to articulate what does this mean in a way that you know you understand and you are inspired by.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it is an interesting
Yeah.
you know parallel between those two worlds.
So I love that you have a spreadsheet, but I don't ever care to see it.
Yes.
And I know, like, there's been meetings.
hurt your feelings.
There have been meetings in the past where you're like, let's look at what you were doing like 3 years ago this month, and then last year this month, and then now this month. I'm like, I don't care what I was doing 3 years ago. I just want to make sure we're going in that direction. That's all I care about. And is my staff happy? Like, then that's all I need to know.
I will amend appropriately. No, I'm just kidding. But
It's probably meant as a motivation tool, but I'm going to walk out of that meeting and I won't remember what I was doing, you know, and I also feel like there's nothing I can do about that. I can't work any harder, and I can't, like, there's nothing I can do. Like, if I see a low September, there's nothing I can do about it. As long as I know I have business coming and we're all working hard and we're doing a great job, like, then we're okay.
yeah.
And as a marketer, maybe there are some things we can do.
Oh, there's plenty of things we could do better, but I'm just saying, like, in that moment, there's nothing I can do about a bad September. Not that we had a bad September, but I'm just using that as an example.
Right. The rearview mirror is not helpful.
It doesn't help me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always like looking that way.
Duly noted.
There you go. All right, let's shift over to Neocurrency here for a minute here, Josh, if we could. I know a little bit about it. I know you gave just sort of your 1 minute overview.
Yeah.
But you talked about how when you were leaving agency world, there was all these ideas, and you landed on this one, and the secret sauce of this idea, right? That the problem that Neocurrency is solving. What is it? The reason why I bring this up is because I think it's important for entrepreneurs to know very clearly the problem that they're trying to solve.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know part of the story, but I'm curious to like have you unpack it a little bit. So
Yeah. Kind of anecdotally, if you ever watch Shark Tank, people will come in with these great ideas. And if you've ever heard them say, like, that's a great product, but it's not a business.
Yeah.
And I think
like socks that have
Suspenders.
that have Velcro.
Suspender socks. It's just
scale that, grow it. I think it just kind of happened for us. But when we left, there was a clear pain point that we wanted to solve. So we were focused on solving that for agencies like ours. So we came into this industry really not knowing anything about rewards and gift cards and how that industry works. And we knew the promotional marketing side of things. We knew how to work with brands. We knew how to partner with brands, get them excited about a program that we were running and managing at the agency. And so our way in to the rewards and incentives world was different than a lot of our competitors, because a lot of them came from physical gift card production.
Yeah.
And they weren't necessarily marketers. They were just creators of this widget, and people would buy them. Not really concerned about how they're being used or what the best strategy is to use them. And so that was kind of our entry and we found great success in going to agencies and saying, like, this is where we've been. This is the pain that we've experienced.
And the pain point was specifically sourcing digital rewards?
Building partnerships
Okay.
with either like or adjacent brands that would work well with the agency's client or the brand that we were talking to.
Got it.
And so um, it takes a lot of work to put a partnership together. Two different companies are doing their own thing. It's really hard to bring them together to build something kind of unique and special. And so we kind of came at it from a marketing strategic perspective, and because we talked that language, it was very easy to onboard clients that were kind of doing the same programs that we had kind of been administering at the agency. Fast forward, we realize, oh, now we've almost got all the promotional marketing agencies that exist in the US on our roster because of how we were able to kind of talk to them and say, like, this is your pain point. This is how we can help you do that, get over that. And then, so that's kind of our bread and butter. Now, since being in this little niche industry, we've experienced, oh, there's so many more opportunities for rewards and incentives to be deployed. And so now we're in market research, we're in employee appreciation, we're in rebates and incentives, loyalty programs, all sorts of different categories of programs that need rewards.
I'm learning so much in this podcast. We should do this all the time.
Yeah. What are you guys doing next week? Yeah. Come back.
You know what, Josh, I also just want to add to that I remember you talking about like customer service too was a big thing. And you guys could just never get people to return phone calls. And you and Jeff saying when you started this, like, if we can just have good customer service, we could like take over the world. And you guys have done that very strategically. You've hired people in different countries all over the world. So if somebody calls in the middle of the night in India, somebody will answer that call. And I think like you guys have always made that a top priority. It just goes back to our previous conversation about being in the service industry. I mean, you know how frustrating it is for those marketing and promotional marketing firms to be frustrated when they can't get a hold of somebody.
Right.
And you guys have really tried to circumvent that. So.
Yeah, hands down. I would say maybe half of our current clients have come to us because they have experienced poor customer service somewhere else.
Yep.
And our business is volume based, fractions of percentage margin, and so it's very highly competitive from a pricing standpoint. And so there's a lot of parity in that regard. So what's the next thing to look for?
Yeah, right.
It's customer service.
Yep.
Hands down.
Yeah, you pick any industry at all, and inevitably there's more than one, person that can provide that good or service, and the person or group that provides it with the highest quality.
Yeah, just like interiors. I mean, there's a million interior designers out there,
Right.
all different levels of experience and expertise, and but
we're fun. We're fun to work with, and that's half the battle.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the client experience too.
And we're fair.
Yeah.
But we're really good.
Yes, you are. But I do think I think it's interesting that you got at Neocurrency, you guys were inside the agency.
Yeah.
Knew this pain point of like the agency's got a lot of different, plates they're spinning, right? And this was one that was sort of like the squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
And you guys were like, how do we become the squeaky wheel mechanics in this area, right?
Yeah.
And it's a little pink umbrella idea. And
it's one of those things that It was a job that nobody really wanted at the agency.
Yeah.
They had to do it. They muscled through it, but no one really wanted to manage that.
Identify the pain point, solve the problem, you know?
Yep.
That's great. All right. You all have been extremely generous with your time. However,
Thank you.
we do have 3 final questions for you.
It's just getting started.
Oh, I mean, we got a couple more hours if you guys want to. No, I know that we've taken away a lot of
Businesses to run,
I
John.
know.
seriously. All right. I have 3 final questions. You can adapt them if you'd like to,
Okay.
but they're just for fun. 3 top rock and roll bands of all time, and you guys don't have to have the same answer, obviously. We already know that you're, kind of complementary minds. So which one of you guys would like to start?
I'll start.
All right.
Instead of rock bands, I'm just going to say 3 concerts that I've been to that
Specific
have rocked my world.
Okay. All right.
Go.
Fire. You're talking my language.
How about that? I went to a Lenny Kravitz concert at Aragon Ballroom. I can't remember the year, but it was amazing.
Okay.
Uh,
Electric.
yeah, it was electric. He was a great performer. Smaller venue. It's always better when it's more intimate like
Yep.
that. But it just was so memorable that I was like, man, that guy is cool.
He's got a cool laugh.
Yeah. Um, and then another experience, very strange one, but I'm not a Deadhead, but I went to see the Grateful Dead with a friend of mine.
Okay.
Their last show at Soldier Field in 1996.
Okay.
Sting opened up for them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was one of my first times seeing a jam band. And it was just really awesome. Like the way that they just effortlessly move throughout their music. Like, how do they know when that guy's going to do that thing? And they go on for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're together again,
Yep.
So that was just really a great experience for me, just to see the lot and people seeing or selling grilled cheese and
Yeah. Right.
and then Sting, Sting.
Yes, Sting. How about that? I mean,
Amazing.
opening up for the Grateful Dead.
Yeah. And the third one I am blanking on.
Taylor Swift.
Mm,
You could admit to being a Swiftie.
Dad. He's been to quite a few Taylor Swift concerts.
I would probably be remiss if my friends ever watch this or hear this. They would have to assume that I would say Counting Crows concert.
Okay.
He kind of got a little crazy lately, but when he was in his prime,
Oh,
the Counting Crows, yeah. Also a really awesome just concert in general. I think Maroon 5 opened up for him, maybe.
No, dude. He opened for Maroon 5 when we saw him.
Yeah.
And he was crazy. He was kicking stuff on the stage.
Counting Crows at the UIC Pavilion or whatever it's called, or that's around years ago. It was awesome.
There's just music certain times of your life that are just so
Yeah.
monumental.
Yep. It takes you back immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in college and Counting Crows was my jam.
Yeah.
Amy?
Oh, do I have to answer this one? I'm so not a good music band
You're not?
concert kind of a gal. No. I'm not really passionate about any.
How about, Taylor Swift's, your favorite Taylor Swift song? Just so we can be topical.
Well, here, you know what? I'll tell you something cool. Kevin Jonas interviewed us for possibly for a project, and then he sent us tickets this summer to their concert, and so we got to sit in the third row. We flew Parker home from college to see that, and then he sent 10 more tickets so our office could come. So that was a pretty cool experience because we were front row. It was at Wrigleyville. I love a concert at Wrigley Field. That's why I say it was in Wrigleyville. It was at Wrigley Field. A lot of people don't like it, I think, because of acoustics or something, but I love the vibe and that it's smaller. It's not like walking out a soldier field where there's like a million people. You know, it's just
You just can't sit 200 level at Wrigley.
no, yeah, yeah.
Hangover.
But we were in row 3, so we were cool. Yeah, we liked it. Yeah, that was kind of.
Question number 2.
I just did a name drop there. So yeah,
You did. That's all right.
She's basically a Swiftie.
I'm basically a Swiftie. Yeah,
She'll have how many?
we're going to Taylor Swift next year in Scotland, which will be a fun adventure for us. Josh is going to that one. Yeah,
Good for you.
it's an excuse to go to Scotland.
It is. And I heard I did watch the video.
It's amazing. It's an amazing concert.
Confessions.
I had two 8-year-olds, me and my wife, and I was like trying to control them for 3 hours. They were literally doing laps around I'm like, please sit down. Like, it was pretty funny. Which annual holiday is the best one? We're sort of entering the holiday season, but explore the space, January through December. Is there one that you really, really love the most?
Well, I would say Christmas is definitely up there.
Yep.
And Memorial Day weekend is an interesting answer, I think. Our family has been going to the Indy 500 for, I don't know, 50 some years. And so it's been a tradition. But more than like the family tradition part, it's I love seeing the way that they honor the military
Yeah,
at that race.
Indy 500 is awesome for that.
It is like,
It makes me cry every time.
yeah, they just do such an incredible job of,
All the service people.
elevating all of those folks that are.
Yeah.
The coolest part is when they march down the straightaway where all the cars line up and everybody is in the stands. You've already done like Star Spangled Banner, Pledge of Allegiance, God Bless America, like all the things. And then the military people walk down and it's almost like a really slow wave where everybody in the stands like stands up and salutes them and just stands there while they pass. And every single time I'm just like, oh, it just, yeah. So yeah, that's a good answer. I was going to say I learned a long time ago that it was very important for us to plan our vacations when the rest of the world plans their vacations, because when our clients are gone on vacation, they don't care if we're out of the office because they're not calling us to find out, status of jobs and stuff like that. So the last several years, we've made it a priority to take time off at Christmas time and travel at spring break time. And most of the time, I try and get us out of the country because I feel like any hot spot in the United States, I'm probably going to run into somebody from Glenelg in there. And but if we go away, we really get a really nice family vacation and get to see some other part of the world. So
She's pitched it that that's the absolutely only way that she can clear her mind.
it is. Nobody bugs me. Nobody but you tell somebody you're going to Spain, they don't call you. If you're like, I'm going to Florida, they'll be like, oh, I'll be at the hotel next door. I'll call you if I need something. So yeah, it's true.
Did you have a annual holiday that is your favorite?
Oh, well, Christmas or 4th of July, we leave a lot on vacation too because people are gone. So yeah, we're able to go and take a nice trip and get away for a while and decompress.
Yeah, I have not been to the Indy 500. I got to get there.
You should.
My wife,
It's an experience.
it's kind of a big deal back in the day. She was an Indy 500 princess.
That is a big deal. Wait, was Tiffany also?
Yeah,
that's
my
right, we talked
sister.
about that.
Your Tiffany and his sister Tiffany. How crazy is that? Small world.
Mind blown. We did go to a rodeo in Bozeman, Montana, like 2 months ago, the Bozeman Stampede. Shout out to you Bozeman folks that may be tuning in. Apparently they only do it a couple of days a year, and it was the equivalent of like us going to like not the same, but kind of the same. It was like going to like a high school football game.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was total locals. So it wasn't like a tourist magnet kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was so awesome. I mean, you're sitting there looking in the mountains. They had a helicopter flying the flag. They had like literally a tank drove out onto the, thing. And I mean, it was pretty awesome. You just reminded me of that.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. If you weren't doing your current job, but you could see yourself doing something that you feel like you could thrive in, last question. Any idea for what it could be?
And thrive doesn't necessarily mean like huge amounts of success.
You could see yourself enjoying it. Usually comes with, I don't know, whatever. It's you're not getting a grade.
Hands down, I would work at Trader Joe's.
He would. He's always like, I'm going to work there when I retire.
I like the whole thing. I want a
He likes all of it.
flowered shirt. I mean,
All right.
Yeah.
Bagging up people's stuff, chopping it up a little bit.
Yep.
All right.
I would be a travel agent. I would plan exotic vacations to wherever in the world, the whole shebang, like top to bottom, everything you're going to do.
All right.
Yeah. I love doing that for our family. Josh always is like, why are you spending so much time on this vacation? And then we get there and we do all these cool things. And he's like, that was awesome. But it takes time because I don't have the tools. So I'm just constantly searching online.
Yep.
And I like a unique experience. Like I don't like to do the thing that has all the people at it.
Yep.
I want to find Joe, the guy who does it on the side, who, you know, his mom comes along for the ride and it's just a little bit different and a little bit more private and
just like a custom new construction home, John.
construction home. That's right. That's right. I like my vacations to be like my my projects.
Never the same thing twice.
Well, thank you guys so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time. I know that as people tune in, they'll get a lot of pearls of wisdom from this. So thank you for sharing that with them and with me, and just appreciate you guys. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. That was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.